Hello, my name is Leanne Kauenhofen. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about a process that you can use to overcome fear. So, because we're going to go through this process, you're going to have a bit of questions to write down. So I would suggest that you find yourself a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. So if you want to pause this video, you can do so and go and get yourself those items. I'll wait. Excellent. You're back. Perfect. So, just to give you a little bit of a basis on what we're doing here, if you haven't watched my other two videos, which are what's involved in overcoming fear and how a coin helped me understand fear. I know they're a bit cheesy, the titles, but the content, in my opinion, is pretty good. So, fear is basically a thought that you have either subconsciously or consciously chosen to think about over and over and over again until it is developed into a belief. And that belief is an internal dialogue within our mind that we hear, whether consciously or unconsciously, and that is then when we feel the fear. So once you have become aware that what you're feeling is fear, you then need to be able to identify what that fear is. Once you have identified that fear, then we can proceed with the process of overcoming fear. And to do that, the process of overcoming fear is where we get to use our logical mind, finally, in a way that we can utilize it to our advantage. And in this way, we are going to be using logical questions to rewrite that internal dialogue that we subconsciously and consciously hear, causing us to feel fear. Okay, so now that I've given you a little basis on that, what are these questions that we ask ourselves? So, I'm going to use the example of public speaking as a fear, because that seems to be a very popular one, and I feel that most of you guys will be able to relate with that. So, the first question you're going to ask yourself when you start to feel that fear and you start to hear that internal dialogue is, ready? You got your piece of paper and pen? First question. Will doing this move me closer to my goals? Now, that word, this is representing that thing that you fear. So in this instance, or this example, we're going to be using public speaking. Will doing public speaking move me closer to my goals? Okay. Number 2, how important is it to me, or to you, to achieve your goal? So how important is it for me to achieve my goal, and why? Now, that's a very important question. Make sure that you ask that why at the end, because that plays in huge when rewriting the dialogue to overcome fear. Number 3, what is the worst that can happen? What is the absolute worst that can happen? Now, in this example, we're using public speaking. So what is the absolute worst thing that can happen when I'm public speaking? Well, I could forget my lines. I could be interrupted. Someone could boo me. I could get someone could throw something at me. They seem very unpleasant, yes. So, number 4, and am I okay with that? Would I be okay with someone booing me? Well, in the moment, I'm sure it would be uncomfortable, but I would survive. As long as what they're throwing at me is not a bullet, I should be able to survive that as well. yeah, I guess, even if I forget my lines, I could be okay with that. Number 5. If the worst were to happen, what is the next step? What is the next step I would take in that moment? Well, if I forgot my lines, I would maybe make a joke about me forgetting my lines. I could be honest about it, because everyone forgets things once in a while. If someone booed me, I could, I don't know, I could ignore it. I could, well, I think that would be best for me anyways. I wouldn't want to fuel the flame and do something else on that. But to come up, so now what is the point of asking this question about what would I do next in that step if that would happen? Because now, let me tell you. Because now, instead of you fearing it happening, you're actually preparing for it. And by preparing for it, you are kind of expecting it to happen, or not necessarily expecting it to happen, but you are putting a plan of action in place right away to counteract that. So there's no need to fear it when you know what to do next. So, moving on. Number 6. I'm sorry, I got my notes here. What is the potential upside to doing this? So, what is the potential upside to public speaking? Well, I could be increasing my position in a career. I could be establishing authority within a certain topic or a certain niche. I could be helping to inspire people that could ultimately change lives. So there is a lot of potential from me overcoming this fear of, our example, public speaking. Interesting. Number 7. Oh, this one's a good one. You're going to like this one. If I was future me on my deathbed with less than 24 hours to live, what advice would I give present me in this moment? That's a really good question. I've already lived through this fear of mine, and now I am long, long past it. I'm on my deathbed, and I'm thinking back to that moment when I was fearing going up on stage, because that's our example, public speaking. What would I tell myself at that moment? I would most likely tell myself, life's too short to be fearing this. Do it. It's so much more, it's worth so much more to go and take that step than to sit on a deathbed regretting I never did. Yeah, I think that would be something I would say to myself anyways. Hey, now we're up to number 8. What would I do if I was 10 times bolder? I would go up on that stage and I would make my public speech. That's what I would do. There's no question to that. If I was 10 times bolder, it'd be done like that. Absolutely. Number 9 is not, there we go, get my fingers up. Number 9 is not actually a question. Number 9 is the actual action of it. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Mel Robbins, and Mel Robbins has definitely inspired a lot of us, including the individual that taught me this process and myself. So number 9 is the 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. Or if you're in like another individual that I know, 5 seconds is too long for his mind to convince him to not do it. So he does it in 3 seconds. So this is one process that you can use to overcome fear. Will it work the first time that you go through these questions? Yes, possibly. Maybe not. You got to understand that the fear that you are feeling has been has developed over a course of some time. So to rewrite that dialogue, it may take a few times of you going over these questions. It's just like a pathway. If you would be making a path through a forest, you know, the first time you go through that, you walk through that path, it may not be very easy to identify where it is later. But if you're going over that same path over and over and over again, day after day after day after day, it gets to a point where other people can walk by and be like, oh, interesting path. I wonder where this leads. It's very identifiable. So is the same way with rewriting that dialogue to overcome fear. The first time you do it, it may not stick right away because you haven't identified it as your main dialogue. It's not louder in your mind than the dialogue that has been developing over who knows how many years. So if you stay consistent with it and you continually do these questions for the same fear, you will be rewriting that dialogue, and it will become louder than the one that you had previously written, in which you developed a dialogue that you felt that fear. So that is my little long video for you on how to overcome fear. I hope you like it. If you don't, well, you don't. No problem. No hard feelings. But with that said, please like this video and share it, because I know that this can definitely help other people along the way as well. And of course, if you want more content like this on mindset and documentations of my journey that could possibly help you on yours, subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.